Hey, Crime Salad listeners. Welcome back to another episode of Crime Salad. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Ricky.
And today we are covering the case titled Superfan of Dexter, the tragic story of Johnny Altinger. Please be warned that this episode does contain graphic material that may make some listeners uncomfortable. Let's dig in. Mark Twitchell was a film enthusiast with big ambitions, but those ambitions took a dark and disturbing turn. Beneath his passion for movies was something much more sinister, and it didn't take long for those dark desires to surface. Wearing a hockey mask and armed with duct tape, a fake gun, and a taser baton, Mark set a trap in a garage he had rented to film a movie, prepared to look like a crime scene, completed with plastic sheeting. But it was actually a kill room. Specifically, Mark Twitchell's garage had a heavy metal table the size of a pool table, and his garage was covered and surrounded by plastic sheets to catch blood spatters. He also had multiple knives, saws, and a cleaver that he said were only props for his films, but these items were stained with Johnny Altinger's blood. The prosecution zeroed in on Mark's obsession with the TV show Dexter and the chilling similarities between the series and his actions, from the plastic-covered garage to the careful way he lured his victims. It was clear that he wasn't just inspired by the show. He was trying to live it. It seemed like Mark wanted to experience what it was like to take a life. And tragically, his twisted fantasy was carried out on Johnny Altinger, an innocent man who thought he was meeting a woman from a dating site. This case is a stark reminder of how dangerous an unchecked obsession can be, leaving heartbreak and devastation in its path. So, Ricky, do you remember the show Dexter?
Oh, I loved Dexter.
Well, so did Mark Twitchell. And maybe you're obsessed with it, maybe you know of it, maybe you have no clue what it is. And so Dexter is this very popular dark crime TV show. And it's about a guy named Dexter Morgan who works as a blood-spattered analyst for the police. But he also lives with his own inner darkness. He murders people. And well, his justification is that they are usually criminals. Now, for the most part, every murder act Dexter plays out is very organized and planned and prepared. We're talking plastic coverings on the walls. He has certain murder tools. A man by the name of Mark Twitchell was obsessed with the show, so much so that he followed all of the fan pages on Facebook, and he even had one of his own with his profile picture as Dexter.
So, a Dexter superfan.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy the show, but to be obsessed with it...
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Or being obsessed with what Dexter was doing is a little weird. So Mark Twitchell, he is a 29-year-old man who always had dreams of becoming a movie star or even a director of the sort. He was born in Edmonton, Canada, and he pushed for his dreams, attending the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology, or NAIT, where he studied in the radio and television arts program, focusing on film production. This background contributed to his involvement in filmmaking. He worked on a Star Wars fan film that was written, produced, and created by him, and he even created replica suits that were very well done. This film was called Secrets of Rebellion. Supposedly, there was a huge online hype about this film, but this film never actually was finished and it never came out. Speaking of his suit creations, he created a suit that was just like Bumblebee from Transformers, and he went all in. This suit was made with over 240 square feet of plexiglass and foam just to make the suit, and he won 2 different costume contests during Halloween and won first place at both of them.
So this guy was like a huge movie buff then.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, he had big dreams of being part of the movie industry.
Yeah, he was a film enthusiast through and through. And while we've painted a picture of his ambitions so far, the truth takes a chilling turn. His so-called goals spiraled into something far more sinister, leading to actions as dark and disturbing as they are unthinkable. So let's talk a little bit about his dating life. He met a girl named Megan, and they both moved to Illinois. So he left Canada, and he's now living in the U.S. They ended up getting married, and 3 years later, they had a divorce. So the relationship was short-lived.
Yeah, I'd say.
And after the divorce, he moved back to Canada, and he was very eager to get back into the dating scene. So he made a dating profile on plentyoffish.com, and there he met a girl named Jess in 2005. Things were going pretty well, and they really connected, and so they got married, they had a daughter together, and in 2008, Mark, who was 29 years old at the time, was still into movie making, and he was writing, producing, and directing a short film called House of Cards, which was a crime thriller about a killer who lured another killer off a dating site and, well, killed them. And in this film, the victim was attacked with a lead pipe. To make this film happen, he rented a garage space to film this movie. He also made a comedy called Day Players, which was about extras and their secret lives in the film industry. Jess Twitchell, who is Mark's wife, said that their marriage started to go downhill in the fall of 2008. They were sleeping in separate rooms. They were going to marriage counseling. Things weren't working out very well. And for a good solid 5 months, maybe more, Mark would leave in the morning to go to work every day, and he would come home in the evening. He had a job as a salesman for a security company. Well, that's what Jess was made to believe. But soon she learned that Mark didn't have a job at all.
Wow. So when he was getting up in the morning, pretending to go to work every day, where did he actually go?
Who knows? I'm assuming that he was working on his plan to murder people. Jess would later tell the court that in the kitchen was the family calendar, and on it, Mark would put his psychiatrist appointments. And on those specific days was when he actually committed the crimes that we will soon talk about.
Wow, okay. I mean, maybe it was therapeutic for him in some way.
Yeah. On October 2008, Canadian man Gilles Tatreau arrived at a location in Edmonton expecting to meet a woman named Sheena, whom he had connected with online. It was on Plenty of Fish where Gilles matched with a 5'6" beautiful blonde woman named Sheena, and they messaged back and forth. Things really took off. Soon they both decided to meet up in person. However, instead of meeting somewhere like a public place, like a restaurant or a coffee shop, Sheena invited him over to her place. And what's even more strange is he wasn't given a specific address at all. It was just odd directions like turn left, then turn right. And at the stop sign, you will see this garage, and the garage will be open for you. Come on in, kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be a little off-putting with the directions. And then he's asked to enter through the garage and not the front door. I mean, that's weird, but okay.
Yeah, and that's what Jill was thinking too. Like, this is pretty weird, but I mean, it's Sheena. She seems pretty normal.
Plus, she's a beautiful blonde, right? She's probably pretty blind.
Yes. So here's what the text message said that included the directions. So, okay, Friday. If you're coming from north on Grote, get on Calgary Trail when you get to the south side and jump onto White Mud. Then go south on 50th Street, take a right on 40 Avenue, and after a block or two, take the very first right onto the alley. It's marked by a yellow crosswalk sign, so pay attention. Then go left and pull into the only driveway on your left that isn't paved. LOL. Seriously, whoever heard of a driveway that looks like the Amazon? Whatever, it won't swallow your car, I promise. There's some garbage up against the fence, like an old couch and such, but it might be gone by Friday, who knows? Like I said, the garage door will be open for you a touch. Don't worry about the neighbors thinking you're a burglar. Everyone knows there's nothing valuable in there except my car, of course. See you then, Sheena. Yeah, first visible back door coming out of the garage. Knock away. There's certainly no other driveways along our alley like this one. And the half-open car door is a dead giveaway. LOL. See you 7 on Friday.
What year is this?
2008.
2008. So, I mean, there's still like GPS and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think MapQuest was pretty popular.
Yeah, something like that. Not to mention, why wouldn't she meet him outside or something like that?
Trying to be mysterious, I guess?
Maybe. I don't know.
Now, Gilles, he made it to the garage. He followed the directions. It was dark inside. The door was only opened a little. It wasn't fully opened. So to get inside, he would have had to duck down. To give you a visual, it was a smaller 2-car garage. It was white in color, and it was nothing fancy.
So dark garage, I'm assuming it's probably nighttime too?
Well, according to the text, he was to come over around 7 p.m., so I'm assuming it was the evening, and it's October, so in Canada, I'm assuming it was dark-ish anyway.
Could you imagine just like walking through this dark alley looking for an open garage?
Half-open garage.
Just to find some...
blonde, beautiful babe.
Some beautiful blonde.
Now, as soon as he makes his way inside the garage, he was grabbed from behind. And it wasn't Sheena. It was a man wearing a hockey mask. And it was actually Mark. He was attacked by a stun baton. With the gun in his hand, he orders Gilles to get onto the ground. He gets onto the ground, and Mark puts duct tape over his eyes. In a moment where Gilles had to have been thinking, he is going to kill me. He rips the duct tape from his face and grabs Mark's gun, realizing that it's actually a plastic gun. Mark was trying to wrestle him down. He grabbed the hood of his jacket to try to hold him back, but Gilles put up a fight, fighting for his life. Gilles was able to wiggle out of his jacket, and he made a quick escape, ducking under the garage door. But being that he was tased with the baton, he realized that he lost strength to run. Mark grabbed his legs, trying to pull him back in, but Gilles broke free. Adrenaline rushing in, he ran down the road as fast as he could, screaming in desperation to get away as he could have been killed. Now, while this man is seen running away from this garage, screaming, Mark tries to chase after him, and he's still wearing the hockey mask. And a couple walks by who's walking their dog, and they're witnessing this whole thing. They had to be in a state of confusion.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Mark tries to lessen the shock of a man being attacked, running away from him, by laughing things off and yelling out, "My friend is so crazy."
Oh, wow.
What would you be thinking if you were that couple walking?
I don't know. I mean, it would be strange, but then you're like, oh, it's just people messing around.
A man running for his life, another person chasing after him in a hockey mask and then trying to brush it off with this nervous laugh and a bizarre excuse like, "My friend is so crazy." I mean, it doesn't hurt to call the police.
Well, I mean, either way, the couple seeing all of this likely stopped whatever was going to happen.
Yeah, that's true, because Mark would have just tried to catch up with him and slow him down or attack him with the baton again.
Right, because now we have a witness.
Right. Now, after that weird situation went down, Mark, he went back inside of his house, and that was it. Gilles didn't report the incident to the police right away, feeling too embarrassed to come forward. He tried to downplay the attack in his mind, convincing himself it wasn't as serious as it seemed. But the reality is heartbreaking. This was a significant and terrifying encounter. He could have been killed. Who knows what the hockey-masked attacker's true intentions were, especially considering the duct tape, the fake gun, and the taser baton he had on hand. And it's so sad that he felt like he needed to tough it out.
Society kind of pressures men to not really show their emotion or admit to things like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think any man or any gender should feel that way. He is still a victim of a crime.
So did the couple ever report anything?
No, they didn't, because although it was a very weird situation, it didn't give them any feeling that something was wrong. They just seen this as weird. Jill later went back to the dating site where Sheena was no longer available for him to chat with.
With such a close call, I feel like it would be hard to, get back to online dating or trust a situation like that again.
Yeah, it would. And in interviews, he explained that he was experiencing some pretty crazy nightmares reliving this attack. I'm almost curious if he ever got back into the online dating world.
Honestly, it would be hard.
Yeah. Now, only a week later, after this attack and attempted murder, he was on to a new victim since the first one didn't really pan out as he hoped. Johnny Altinger. Johnny was a 38-year-old man. He was a pipeline inspector and a motorcycle enthusiast, and he was innocently on a dating site called plentyoffish.com, and he matched with a woman named Jen. And they hit things off. They were going to meet up on October 10th.
Was this another beautiful blonde?
Most likely. He was very excited about this. He even shared the excitement with his friends that he was going to hang out with this woman. And he also forwarded 2 emails to a friend, which included the conversations with Jen. And also it included the strange directions that led him to this mysterious garage.
So same plan, most likely.
Yes. So once he gets there, he parks his car in front of the garage and he enters the garage the similar way as the first guy. He was immediately attacked while Mark beat him with a metal pipe, and he was stabbed to death with a knife in the chest and throat. Mark watched his body carelessly bleed out onto the floor. Mark then decided to cut up and dismember Johnny's body. He tried to burn his remains in a burn barrel, but it wasn't successful. So he put the remains in different construction-grade garbage bags, and he planned to dump them into the sewage drains.
So he's definitely not as careful as Dexter, his influencer, would have been on his crime scenes, right? Because he really contained his crime scene.
Yeah.
And then this seems a little bit all over the place, messy.
Yeah. Now, if you remember that film that he was creating, House of Cards, he actually created it in his garage with actors, and he filmed this 2 weeks prior to this murder.
Oh, wow. So maybe he wanted to relive this movie scene or something in real life.
So Johnny's friends and family, they started to get worried once 3 days had passed. What added to the unsettling feeling was an email that a friend received from Johnny's email account stating that the woman he met is taking him on a tropical vacation to Costa Rica.
Wow. Fancy. Lucky him.
The email was sent on Monday, October 13th, 2008 at 8:52 a.m. And it says, "Hey there, I met an extraordinary woman named Jen who has offered to take me on a nice, long tropical vacation. We'll be staying in her winter home in Costa Rica. Phone number to follow soon. I won't be back in town until December 10th, but I will be checking my email periodically. See you around the holidays, Johnny."
Wow. So they really hit it off.
Yeah, things were moving fast, apparently. But his friends and family, they weren't fooled by this at all. This was very unusual coming from Johnny because there's just no way that he would just up and leave with this woman for months. And it just didn't sound like him. He was a very responsible man. He was a hard worker, he loved his job and his friends, and this was just out of the blue. Like Costa Rica, he just met this woman.
So they're pretty suspicious right off the rip.
Yes. And also, Johnny's boss received a resignation letter that he was quitting and he was moving to Costa Rica. And the boss asked for a forwarding address to send him his final paycheck, but he never got a response. Because they feel like this whole situation isn't sitting right, it's not like him, he just met this woman, and he's just up and leaving for Costa Rica. His friends make the decision to drive over to Johnny's condo and break in, hoping to find something. And well, what was strange is nothing was out of the ordinary. And even more alarming was everything was left behind. For leaving for that length of time, there just wasn't any indication that he packed anything to even leave.
Yeah, so pretty strange.
Johnny's situation, it wasn't adding up. And to his friends and family, these emails were strangely out of character. And so they went to the police to report him missing.
Well, that one friend has the directions, though, right?
Yeah, he got that one email of the conversation that Johnny had with Jen that included the directions. And so they hand over these emails to the police, and these directions take the police to the garage that Mark was renting. When they get there, they come across Mark. At first, they weren't considering him as a suspect. They were just asking him general questions. But things seemed off because Mark immediately mentioned Johnny. And he had come by and bought Mark's Mazda for 40 Canadian dollars. He said that Johnny was leaving the country with another woman. They found it strange that he would sell a car for that price in the first place. This was the first red flag that really made them think, okay, something's wrong with this picture.
Yeah, I mean, 40 Canadian dollars is what, like 28, 30 US dollars?
Yeah.
So cheap.
Yes. At the garage, the police asked to look around, and Mark agreed, and they noticed blood spatter all over the walls. The uneasy feeling of something heinous had to have happened, and they are possibly dealing with a murder. Mark explains that he just filmed a movie called House of Cards, where there was an execution scene, and this is all fake blood.
Of course.
Now, the police, eager to gather more information, asked Mark for a list of actors involved in this movie. Confident in his plan, Mark handed over the names, convinced that he'd thrown them off his trail. But when investigators tracked down one of the actors and began asking questions, particularly about how much blood was used in the film's execution scene, they got an answer that shattered Mark's carefully crafted narrative. There wasn't any blood at the filming of this movie at all. That response was all the police needed to realize that Mark's movie might not have been a faked movie scene at all, but now with a missing man, these strange emails, these strange messages from a woman who had given him specific directions leading to this mysterious dark garage, something's off.
Yeah, probably pretty obvious that something pretty sinister happened.
Police were able to get access into the garage and do a more thorough search, and they do a luminol test. The floor was glowing blue. There was excessive amounts of blood in the garage that appeared to be cleaned up, and there was a lot of it.
And it wasn't fake blood.
No, this was real blood. And so on Halloween Day, October 31st of 2008, Mark Twitchell was arrested on suspicions of murder after finding Johnny's blood inside of the trunk of Twitchell's family car. He was brought in for questioning, where the detective was pretty confident that Mark was the one responsible for Johnny's disappearance, stating that there's no doubt in his mind he did something. It was just a matter of finding his body. They pushed Mark to tell them where he was while Mark continued to look innocent. Then he breaks, eventually saying, okay, I killed Johnny, but it was in self-defense.
Oh, of course. Didn't he try to burn him?
Yeah.
Okay, and that didn't work out.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
His explanation was that how this was all a prank to Johnny. But then Johnny got mad and they began to fight. And this was when, in self-defense, he stabbed Johnny in the heart. Once the media got a hold of this story, it gets broadcasted all over, and in a chilling moment, Gilles, if you remember Gilles, the first victim,
the guy who got away,
realized that this could have been him. He was in that very garage that was being investigated for that of a man who went missing.
So any doubts that he had that he possibly was in danger, yeah.
He was like, oh my God, that could have been me. It was on November 3rd when he decided to come forward to the police to report his attack, which only added to the evidence. He was named the one who got away. You guessed it, Ricky. Jill would later write a book called The One Who Got Away: Escape from the Kill Room, my online dating nightmare with the Dexter killer. So the police, they're pretty confident that they know he murdered Johnny. But the one thing that police couldn't get out of Mark was, where was the body located? And it took 2 years behind bars for Mark to finally crack. Police printed out a Google map of the streets, and he drew lines and circles of the locations. And also, he added some handwriting directions that said, in an alleyway between 86th Street and 87th Street, south of 130 Avenue, where 2 manhole sewer covers are in close proximity, the only area in the alley where this occurs. The cover is on the easternmost edge of the alley on private property. 5th light post from 130 Avenue, indicated by the red circle above. Signed, Mark Twitchell. Dated June 3rd of 2010.
Geez, this guy and his directions. It's almost like he gets off on this.
It's like a scavenger hunt. Like,
right.
Find it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely living a movie.
But 2 years behind bars, and he finally cracks and gives the police the information that they've been looking for.
Honestly, I'm surprised that he even went with the self-defense thing, just because there's such a paper trail against him.
Yeah.
It must have just been a on a whim type defense.
Yeah, like he has nothing left to defend himself with.
Mm-hmm.
So June of 2010 rolls around, and he's ready to take the stand, and he wanted to argue that he accidentally killed Johnny. An Edmonton Journal journalist reached out to Mark Twitchell, hoping to uncover the truth behind the horrifying events. To his surprise, Mark began communicating with him from behind bars. One day, out of the blue, Mark called the journalist, Steve, and he was eager to talk. What followed was an unsettling exchange, a series of 30 to 35 letters spanning a staggering 350 pages.
Yeah, to me, he loves this attention.
Loves it. This is what he was dreaming about. Now, Steve, he pushed Mark to explain himself, to reveal why he had committed this horrible crime. But the answers never came. Not real ones, anyway. Mark danced around the questions, evading responsibility and offering cryptic, chilling statements like, out of curiosity, I dealt with his human remains. There is no key, no root cause. I was just trying to be special and unique. It is what it is, and I am what I am. The words were cold and detached, offering no redemption or reason, only a haunting glimpse into the mind of a man devoid of remorse.
Yeah, so to me, this is all attention-seeking. He gets to kind of play out one of his favorite characters, right?
Yeah, he's getting the spotlight for sure. Now, Steve, he wrote a book called The Devil's Cinema, The Untold Story Behind Mark Twitchell's Kill Room. Now, during the search the police had conducted after arresting Mark, they found his laptop inside of the Mazda that he supposedly sold to Johnny for 40 Canadian dollars. The laptop contained an interesting document that Mark attempted to delete, but was able to be recovered. This document was titled SK Confessions, believed to stand for Serial Killer Confessions. It became a pivotal piece of evidence in the case, and it played a crucial role in supporting the prosecution's argument regarding the heinous murder of Johnny Altinger. This was a lengthy document, but here's a small part of it just so you can get the feel. This story is based on true events. The names and events were altered slightly to protect the guilty. This is the story of my progression into becoming a serial killer. Like anyone just starting out in a new skill, I had a bit of trial and error in the beginning of my misadventures. Allow me to start from the beginning, and I think you'll see what I mean. I don't remember the exact place and time it was that I decided to become a serial killer, but I remember the sensation that hit me when I committed to the decision. It was a rush of pure euphoria. I felt lighter, less stressed, if you will, at the freedom of the prospect. There was something about urgently exploring my dark side that greatly appealed to me, and I'm such a methodical planner and thinker. The very challenge itself was enticing to behold. The realization was just the last in a series of new discoveries I made about myself. I just knew I was different somehow from the rest of humanity. I feel no such emotions as empathy or sympathy towards others, for example.
Honestly, though, dude, get over yourself. You're not even a serial killer. You killed one guy. How full of yourself.
Yeah, maybe he was trying to kill more after this incident, but finding this document was like striking gold to the police. It basically painted a picture of what Johnny did, line for line. He explained his feelings and his intentions.
So this is all pretty much like his short film. So he catfished a guy, lured a man into his garage wearing a hockey mask, and attacked him with a lead pipe, right?
Yeah, the crime thriller that he created, House of Cards, which was centered around a killer who lured another killer from a dating site, ultimately murdering him. Although Johnny wasn't a killer-type guy, but a victim, in his film, the victim was brutally attacked with a lead pipe, which is chilling because Johnny was attacked in the same way. And also in the SK Confessions document, he explained how he set up his garage Dexter style. It was written in this document as Dexter Prepped Garage. And he also explained how he wanted to burn the remains in a barrel, which police did find an actual burned barrel in the garage that looked to be used as one. Also in the confession, he wrote about how he cut Johnny's head in gruesome details. Like he grabbed Johnny's jaw with his gloved hand and moved it while making a funny voice to make it appear as if he were talking. And he chuckled to himself at the total silliness of it all.
Gross.
Police also linked the blood found in the garage to be Johnny's blood. His blood was also found on Mark's clothing. They also found the knife inside of Mark's car, which appeared to be the murder weapon belonging to Mark. It had blood on both the knife and the knife sheath. There was also evidence in Johnny's car. Apparently, Mark was driving around in his car after the murder. He also admitted to writing emails from Johnny's account to his friends, family, and boss that he was moving away or going on vacation. And he actually broke into Johnny's condo to do this.
So after the police started uncovering all of these documents and these details, it probably didn't help his case that much. And it was honestly probably pretty easy for the police to put together what actually happened because he tried to relive the script.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he laid it out all for the police. Like, this is what I did and how I did things. Yeah. And because I am just...
It's like a straight up confession.
Yeah. Now, police, they actually uncovered another chilling document on Mark's laptop, although for reasons unknown, it was never entered into evidence. This file was titled A Profile of a Psychopath. And a few lines from that says, I habitually lied my entire life. I always apologized, but never meant it. I've often fantasized about killing people. I can put my dark energy into my films. And it goes on. While it's unclear why this document was excluded, its contents offer a haunting glimpse into Mark's psyche. One thing that seems to align perfectly with his actions. And it raises the unsettling question, why wasn't such an incriminating piece of evidence used? During the trial, Mark attempted to plead guilty in hopes of receiving a lesser charge of interfering with the dead body. However, the prosecution rejected his offer and pushed forward with a charge of first-degree murder. Additionally, they sought to have Mark charged with the attempted murder of his first victim, Gilles Tatro. Despite this effort, the judge ruled to keep the two cases separate, ensuring that they would be handled individually. Although Mark admitted to killing Johnny and writing a 42-page document titled SK Confessions, the document used fake names. But even Twitchell admitted it described what happened in his life during the chaotic weeks leading up to and following the murder. He's stuck with his original story, which was this murder happened because he was defending himself and that this was all a prank that went wrong.
Right.
He said he never explained the hoax idea to Gilles, the first victim, because he decided to scare him instead by pretending that he was actually being attacked.
Well, I would have told him, but he ran away.
He also admitted that he broke into Altinger's condo, which is where he wrote and sent emails to Johnny's friends saying that he was running off to Costa Rica with a woman that he fell in love with, and the one to his boss that he was quitting his job. And he did this because he wanted to buy some time to figure out how to explain away the death. Mark claimed that the SK Confessions was a fiction writing inspired by real events.
Yeah, it's almost like he tried to orchestrate Johnny's murder just to craft some gripping story with realistic details or something like that. Like he tried to one-up Dexter.
Yeah, it does seem that way. And speaking of Dexter, like we said, the prosecution, they zeroed in on Mark's obsession with the TV show series. And they pointed out the similarities the series and his crimes had. From the plastic sheeting and the garage setup with blood spatter covering the walls and floor to the calculated way he lured his victims, it was clear that Mark had taken a twisted fantasy inspired by the show and turned it into a horrifying reality. It's like he was so obsessed with Dexter that he wanted to experience it for himself. He wanted to know what it was like to murder someone. And when that evil desire came out, it was taken out on an innocent man who was thinking he was meeting up with a woman from a dating site. Mark was even dubbed the Dexter Killer, a title that feels almost like a reward for his twisted behavior. It's a sensationalized label for something so heinous. It's exactly the kind of notoriety that he craved. He always wanted to be a big hit in the movie industry, and to him, this is it. A friend of Mark's reported that she received messages from Mark, which would have been after the murder, actually a week after. The messages read that he had crossed the line, and he explained the best way to kill someone.
Wow, so he must have felt comfortable enough to actually tell someone about this.
Yeah, maybe they were really close. I don't know. It's strange. Now, on April 12th of 2011, after 5 hours of deliberation, Johnny Altinger's family breathed a sigh of relief as the jury delivered the verdict. Guilty of first-degree murder. And Johnny's mother began to cry. Read aloud by a prosecutor was Johnny's mother's victim impact statement, and it read, "I can't begin to imagine the fear, desperation, and pain Johnny must have endured. As a mother, I can't think about it without feeling like I'm on the verge of breaking. My hope is that the person responsible for this unforgivable and horrific act reflects on their actions and suffers a slow, daily torment for the rest of their life." Mark Twitchell was given life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. Once Mark was convicted and sentenced to the maximum sentence term, the court felt there's no need to charge him for the attempted murder of Jill.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, it's like he never got any justice. Mark, who was 31 at the time of his sentencing, was asked by the judge if there was anything that he wanted to add, and he said he would like to pass on that. And so, to put the icing on the cake after the family and friends of Johnny Altinger heard the verdict, one of Johnny's family members yelled out, "Bye, have fun," while he was escorted out of the courtroom. And Mark Twitchell's family didn't attend the trial at all. In May of 2011, Mark Twitchell filed a handwritten appeal with the Alberta Court of Appeal, seeking to overturn his first-degree murder conviction, and he also requested a new trial, this time without a jury. He argued that the extensive and sensationalized media coverage had compromised his right to a fair trial. However, in February of 2012, Twitchell abandoned his appeal, effectively upholding his conviction and sentence. Johnny Altinger's family will forever be hurt with this devastating loss, but his memory lives on as a reminder of the real human cost behind such senseless violence. This case underscores the importance of vigilance, the bravery of survivors who speak out, and the relentless pursuit of justice by law enforcement. While Mark spends his days behind bars, the world outside continues to remember Johnny not as a victim of a killer's twisted fantasy, but as a beloved son, friend, and human being who deserves so much more.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I have to say, though, Dexter killed for the greater good. He killed other serial killers, people who were criminals. I guess he had dark urges, but he, repurposed it for the greater good. Mark was just some dark, twisted individual who wanted attention, right?
I think he did. I think it was more of like an attention-seeking thing.
I agree.
Like he wasn't making it big in the movie industry, so he's like, I'm going to make it big this way.
Right.
Now there's books and movies about him, and he's probably chilling in jail like,
He's probably writing another book.
Yeah. And actually, he's on a new dating site. So he's looking for love, actually, on like an inmate type dating site.
You can do that?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh.
And before we jump off here, we would like to thank you so much for supporting Crime Salad. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure you tell a friend about Crime Salad. It really helps our show grow. And also, if you want to support our show more, you can become a supporter by subscribing to Crime Salad wherever you're listening and giving us a review. That helps too.
Yeah, and consider joining as a paid subscriber on Apple or even on Patreon. Patreon.com/Crime Salad Podcast.
Sounds good.
Great.
We'll be with you next week.